poppin', everybody? I am Mrs. Best. Welcome to my Ladies of London New Reign review. This is a review of season 4, episode 6, which was titled Not So Fair Ladies. Before we go any further, for those who do not know, my primary care physician has told me that my allergies are so bad, no prescription works, that I will need allergy shots. I am sniffly. The pollen is heavy. So if I sound nasally or anything like that, I do apologize to everybody watching. But at the same time, welcome in What's Poppin' and Thug Life to all of our subscribers. To those who are not subscribers, still welcome in and thank you for taking the opportunity to watch this review. And to all of our new subscribers, hey y'all, check out the channel. Go to the profile page of the channel. There are ways to contact me, make suggestions for the show. Everybody's welcome. Even if you never leave a comment, you're still appreciated. I do also hope that the people who like this video or enjoy these reviews consider liking the video. It is an easy and free way to support the channel. But this episode was definitely entertaining, to say the least. I am heavily enjoying Ladies of London because they give us drama, but without all that extra dark, heavy stuff, which I personally don't always feel like I need to deal with. But we're going to start this episode with Missy and Margot in a park together. Missy has brought her stepkids. I will say this. I do like when the step parent embraces the kid, especially in a non-traumatic way. And it seems like Margot is a decent stepmom and seems to love her little family that she has. But I was cracking up because as soon as the little boys saw, and they're teenagers, they're like preteens, as soon as they saw Missy coming, they were like, that's her? Oh. And I was hollering because Margot said she had to teach them with her to not look at her boobs and to look at her. They are 13 and 14. I think they're like teenagers, so their hormones are everything. All they see in their mind probably is a MILF. I'm just going to say that's probably what they see. But she sends them off to go get ice cream or whatever while she talks with Missy. And Missy tells Margot about the meetup that she had with Kimmy, which was the day before their current meetup that we're watching. And she lets her know, like, Kimmy seems sincere. She apologized and that they made peace. Now, Missy did also tell Margot that Kimmy mentioned Mark Francis saying that Margot could kind of put on an acting hat because she is an actress, which is kind of like a compliment and an insult. But I'm not surprised. Anytime I see someone who's an actress or actor go on a reality show, they deal with that. I think the best example would be Drew Sidora on the Housewives of Atlanta. She came in more known as being an actress. And then for like her first 2 seasons, anytime she felt the way about something, people were like, oh, well, you're an actress. You could just be acting. Classic comeback, all of that. Classic shade. I've heard it on every show. And I'm not surprised this made its way to London either. But Margot says that she would not expect for Mark to talk about her. And it seems like she's bothered by that. And so she fires back because Margot is messy and she's going to get even instead of trying to talk to you. And she says that she has heard things about Mark as well. And she's now ready to repeat them. She says that she heard that Mark was a bag holder for Emma and that he's a social climber and that his family has disowned him. I said, girl, all he said, allegedly, you haven't even confirmed this to be true. So why are you so reactionary if you haven't even confirmed that Mark really said this? Now, later we do know that he did say it, but I'm like, dang, that's how you respond? And that's why I'm looking at Margot and I'm like, girl, you be starting problems with people and starting crap with people, but I don't think she expects for it to come back on her all the time, if that makes sense. But I feel like she took it to Hill. He just said you're an actress who be acting. And now you've told us that his family has disowned him. He's just a bag holder for Emma. His relationship with her is because he's just trying to be a social climber. He said one thing about you and you dropped like, you what they say, unleash the clip. That's what she did. I just felt like that was a little extra. But I mean, obviously Margot is here to give us a show, obviously. But we move forward to see Micah go to see Emma. Emma is the one on the show who truly is like a socialite in the UK. She truly is connected to royalty and all of those great things. But I'm still not seeing how she connects to this show. other than being somebody so rich that it seems like they're all just kind of kissing her ass based on her social stance, it's giving Kathy Hilton on Beverly Hills. It just is. Like, it's giving that she has more and is worth more and is known for more than the rest of them. I don't mind that, but Kathy Hilton, well, she used to give us something. I don't know what Emma gives us. We haven't gotten to know much of her. She doesn't engage in the drama, so she's just kind of here for her name. But Emma is going through a lot with her health, specifically her pituitary gland. And she recently had a health scare. I guess MRIs are difficult to read. It sounds like the doctors misread her MRI. She thought that there was a growth in her pituitary gland, but it turns out they read it incorrectly. There is no growth, but she still has to get monitored constantly, which I can understand. I think when it comes to your gland, your thyroids, anything hormone or anything like that, you do have to get scanned and checked on more. It's just something that happens. I have to get my thyroid checked more often than the regular person for growths and things. So it sounds like they're doing the right thing for her, but I'm just kind of like, what are we supposed to do? Now, we do learn that Emma's going to be running a safari marathon in Kenya, which sounds amazing. And we get a video from everyone on the cast pretty much wishing her well. It was sweet, but I'm just kind of like I'm bored by Emma thus far. Like, I'm genuinely bored by Emma thus far. But we then move in to see some stuff with Lottie. Again, a lot of little scenes just helping us to get to know this new cast. Lottie has concerns. She is pregnant. She does have a husband that is gone a lot because he's a popular, well-to-do celebrity fashion designer. So he is often traveling. She's pregnant. She probably can't travel the way she used to, even though she looked like she's not pregnant, her little tiny bump. But she says she's used to being alone. And, you know, she says they say that you marry your father. And her father was somebody who was a good parent, but was gone a lot for work. And she feels like she's kind of repeated that cycle. But overall, she seems really excited for the baby. Lottie and Micah seem like the most like level-headed people in the friend group. They also seem like the two that get along with everybody. And I feel like it'll stay that way. I just do. Moving forward, beautiful people, I forgot to say this at the beginning of this video. I like to highlight other creators, especially other Black creators, because as Black people, we need to uplift each other instead of just being on the BS. So uplift each other. Check the links in the description of this video. There are links to other Black content creators who also do reality television and scripted television commentary, reviews, panels. Some of them talk about things like endometriosis, which I just learned is Endometriosis Awareness Month from the Black Girls Den podcast. So support somebody Black, learn something. We are going to get into Martha's event. Because my goodness, oh, not Martha's event. I skipped a scene. My bad, I'm human. Micah goes to see, or not Micah, Margot goes to Martha's house with a pet psychic. Colorless activities, that's all I'm gonna say. But she goes to her house with a pet psychic because apparently Margot feels like Hecate, which is Martha's pet bird, like has ill intentions toward her, which a lot of people could be weird for the bird, but I'm like, that bird seems very connected to her for anybody that understands like avian pet owners and things of that nature. But the pet psychic says there's nothing wrong with the bird and that they're loving and just playful. And I don't buy into that stuff. I really don't. Dr. Doolittle, if he really existed, I'm just saying. But they discuss Kimmy. And Margot says that Kimmy is ganging up on her now with Mark without even confirming or trying to talk to anybody else in the group to see if this is true. But she says that Kimmy and Mark are ganging up on her. And I feel like Margot is trying to play the victim, but it's very hard to play the victim when you've been the only person on this cast, with the exception of, was it Dara from the beginning of the season? Like, with the exception of her, Margot, you're the only person on the cast causing drama. Everyone else is just kind of existing and throwing quirky, posh shade. You're the one that's really digging in and looking for the issue. But, I mean, I felt like the scene showed us she's definitely going to be leaning into the problem versus trying to be accountable. I don't feel like Margot is able to apologize or admit when she's wrong. I also don't feel like she has deep friendships. It seems like everything is shallow and minimal. Like she's that friend that wants to give you advice and know all of your business, but I don't feel like people know too much of hers. Let me know if y'all feel the same for those who've been watching the show consistently, because Margot just, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lack of depth and substance to her. That's just a personal opinion, but I don't mind her because she's given us a show. Now, at Martha's My Fair Lady event after the movie, everybody is going to be arriving who's on the cast, which I enjoyed. And I was looking at the scene and I was like, you know, the greenery in London is really pretty. One thing about the UK that I notice when I watch anything is the lush greenery, the beautiful gardens, that type of stuff. I'm interested in that type of stuff. But Margot is upset the moment that Kimmy walks into this event, and she immediately throws shade at Mark, saying he looks like the white man who was in the Curious George cartoon, who used to wear the that yellow number, because Mark came in with the yellow petticoat or whatever. I'm looking at that. I'm like, that was funny. That was funny as hell. I'm not gonna lie. But Mark calls Emma while at the event, and Margot was hating. Now the group all knows Emma. You're all friends with her. She's in Kenya. She's not at this event because she has to do stuff for Longley because she's a part of the British, whatever the hell you call it. And I don't understand why Margot was such a hater and mad that he called. She's like, oh, look at him. He has to show everybody he's calling his best friend. No, I don't feel like Mark would have done that in an ordinary circumstance. I feel like Mark called Emma in that circumstance because she was the only cast member of the reboot of this show who was not there. And she is friendly with everyone, sweet with everyone. What is the problem, Margot? Get a life. Why does any of this bother you? Because Margot's thing is like, it's like he's got to show everyone he's Emma's friend. So what? He's the godfather to her kids. Just because you don't understand their relationship, just because you don't respect it, doesn't mean you have to come at it to this extent. Why do you care so much about the status and closeness of someone else's friendship? And why does it bother you that Mark is sticking beside his friend, uplifting her, calling her, and reminding us that she is a part of the moment? Why is that a problem? The only reason that would be a problem is, Margot, is if you hating. You hating, girl. But I feel like Margot is smart and came into this show wanting to be a villain, because being the villain of a reality show guarantees you'll get a call back. It also guarantees that they're going to want to deal with you, the network, because controversy causes ratings. So I feel like that may be what she's doing, but I could be off. But Mark Francis eventually does go over to talk to Margot, and he compliments her outfit. And she asks, well, are you going to talk about me behind my back after this compliment? And she mentions her being spoken about and the things that were said. And he was like, oh, well, I did make comment about that hideous velvet jumpsuit you wore. Listen, the jumpsuit was not hideous, but I just feel like I would have seen that on like somebody who may be on the cast of Baddies, not someone who's trying to look like they're posh London to LA royalty or whatever it is Margot's trying to come off for. But I thought it was great. Mark admitted to every single thing that Margot accused him of. And she's like, and what about how you said this about my social climbing or the acting? And he's like, well, darling, I mean, I've made my comment. And I looked and I was like, okay, Mark, that's kind of smart. Just admit to it. So Mark goes, honey, anything I've said, I'm just repeating what someone else was saying. And it was in your fancy. So I don't see why you're upset. I thought that was the funniest thing. The funniest thing. He said, yeah, we was talking about you, but we didn't say nothing bad. So why you mad, ho? I looked at Mark and hollered because that was so funny. But Kimmy then walks over to Mark and Margot's interaction. And, you know, she reminds Margot, which, Kimmy, you a real friend, because that's me for James, that she's also been talking shit about Mark. And Margot says, well, I've got more tea than the Boston Harbor. And Mark replied, I hate tea. I said, you know what? You thought you ate with that line, because for those who do not know, for American history, the Boston Tea Party, all that stuff that happened, feel free to look at it and look it up. But you should have learned it in somewhere between the 6th and the 11th grade, you should have learned about that, maybe even sooner. So her joke was, it was quick, it was witty, but for him to respond, I hate tea, darling, being a Brit, I'm sorry, he ate her up with that response. I thought it was funny. But he then got at her outfit and was like, all the birds you've had to kill, or something he said about her outfit. And I was cracking up because I was like, wait a minute. Margot ends up walking away because Mark did read her for filth politely. He poshly took her down. And I'm not mad at it because Margot's been messy. And I think the best way to get her to back off and back down is to be messy right back with her. Because Margot likes to throw rocks and hide her hand. But if you're going to be messy, if you're going to be a villain, baby, you better stand in it like Kenya Moore. And I would have twirled in circles around him. But instead, she ends up going off on her own. And Kimmy and Margot, at some point at this event, they try to talk to each other because Kimmy's like, well, we don't have to like each other, but we could be cordial. And Margot says to Kimmy, and it looked like Margot really wanted to try and take the opportunity to make peace. Like, messy or not, I did see Margot put a clear and concerted effort toward trying to have a civil conversation with Kimmy. And she was like, you know, Kimmy, you presented yourself as somebody who's always going to tell it like it is, regardless of what. So I was surprised when you didn't tell it like it was to Missy. And I was like, see, Margot, you be on that bullshit because you did attempt to talk to Kimmy. And Kimmy did take it right back to hell because Kimmy was like, girl, you are the devil. And when people see that you're a troublemaker, then I'm going to be proven right. And walked away from her. Margot's looking confused, trying to act innocent. But the way I saw it is, I have to think of this. Kimmy, how do you know what Margot said about Mark? Nobody was there except for Margot and Martha. Same thing with the issue of what was said prior in the car by Kimmy. Margot was in the car. I believe Martha was in the car. Like, everyone felt the way, but it just seems like karma came and got Margot pretty quick because Kimmy knows what's going on because Martha went and repeated your conversation to Kimmy, which Martha should not have done. And Martha is the one stirring the pot in the background. She says she means well, but if you mean well, you wouldn't get involved in your friend's issue unless it's just, why don't you talk to her and leaving it there? But instead you're repeating conversations and that's not your place to do, Miss Martha. You better lean on Hecate for some advice and some guidance. But Martha ends up getting mad at Kimmy and Mark. She's like, why are you guys behaving like this? And it's like, wait, Martha, I know you can see what's going on, but just because Margot's quicker doesn't mean she's behaving in a better way. And I feel like she was very quick to try and paint it that way. And I did kind of understand Kimmy when she was like, you never defend me. I don't think it's a never, like she meant it, but I think in this situation with Margot, she probably feels that way. Mark Francis doesn't seem to care. He could give a flying F. He does not care. But Kimmy gets emotional. And, you know, Martha's like, Kimmy, you're a psychotic bitch, but it's why I love you. I'm like, huh? These British people, the way they talk to each other is so funny, but I kind of like it. They're clear, concise, they're to the point, and the keep calm and carry on. I love that mantra. I think it's good to express your feelings, yes, but keep calm and carry on. You don't want to just sit in your feelings now. But Martha and Kimmy ended up making peace because Kimmy did get emotional, and you could tell she feels away because it's like she did a bad thing. She said something bad. She apologized to the person she hurt, which was Missy. She has not said anything about the death of Missy's brother again since that apology, not in a confessional, not to the camera, not in a private conversation, at least not that we've been shown. And she made the attempt to be cordial with Margot. But I just think Kimmy has a low tolerance for bullshit. I think that's a piece of it. I think Kimmy and Margot are both messy in similar, but also very different ways. And I feel like Margot has more to prove than Kimmy. But Kimmy is crying and all of this. And her and Martha, they do make peace. But something very telling to me is when someone is disrupted by peace. That's something you always watch out for. And Margot looked annoyed that people finally were giving Kimmy attention. Missy had her attention. Margot, you've had your attention. Everyone's had their moment. Why are you upset that Kimmy and Martha are making peace, especially if you're good friends with Martha for over 20 years and you know that Kimmy is important to Martha and also a good friend of her, then why are you bothered by them making peace? Let them make peace. You don't have to be friendly with her though and chummy. But I felt like that was weird. But I am curious to see how next week's episode will go. Very curious to see it. And gentlemen, gay, straight, bisexual, everything in between, take notes from Mark Francis. That is how you handle having any type of a verbal something or anything with a woman. He threw shade. He read her for filth, but he didn't do it in a way that wasn't dignified. So I was here for it. But let me know how you guys feel about this episode of Ladies of London. If you've made it this far, we are at the end of this review. We will be back again next week for a review. And if this show comes back for a season 5, I will recap it live because I've been getting a good amount of views and interaction with it. But let me know how you guys felt about the episode, even if it's different from me. We don't got to agree to get along, child. We really don't. Other lives that I'll have happening on my channel. If you're watching this video, it's likely April the 3rd. Later today, April 3rd at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, we will be having our Real Housewives of Beverly Hills live. James from the Watch Your Mouth Reviews channel will be joining us for that live. And then right after that live, around 6 o'clock, we'll go over the Housewives of Rhode Island, the premiere for that. Other than that, love and light to everybody. I thank everybody for the support and for watching. And I will see you guys for the next review. Au revoir.